Let me ask you about your book. Can I?
Yeah.
Is it tough to write a book because of so much that you may think you should not put in, or did you just put everything in?
I put pretty much everything in.
Okay, so let's talk about what you didn't put in for radio
What I
purposes.
didn't put in?
What did you edit out of the book?
Oh my gosh.
You want an easier question? What's in the book? I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to read it this weekend now.
It's called The Most Beautiful, and it's my life with Prince, but it starts with how I started dancing before I even met him.
Is it tough being such a high caliber performer with so much of a background and sort of skill set when people pigeonhole you as the wife of somebody when there's probably so much more to you?
Oh yeah, I mean for a while.
Does that get frustrating?
Yeah, I actually thought about changing my name because
Yeah.
when I got divorced and I left that whole purple world, I was like, okay, I don't want to be pigeonholed because people forget that I was an artist before I met him, and
Right.
how I met him was because of my art. So, and I worked with him for many years, and then the personal kicked in. So it was hard, but I just stayed. I never took no for an answer. I just kept going.
Now, there's sort of a mysticism around the man himself. Did you guys live in a Graceland type compound up there in Minneapolis, or did you have a normal home life? Do you fight over the remote and what to have for dinner, or what's life like? What was a day in the life at that time for you?
It's funny because don't forget, I met him when I was 16 years old. And then I was introduced to his world. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And being in the military, I can acclimate very quickly to something.
Right.
If it's we're in Japan, we're doing the Japan way. If we're in Europe, I'm really good at adjusting and fitting in. And, seeing Paisley Park, which is his studio, Prince's studio back in the day, it wasn't where he lived. So, yes, it looked like, what do you call it? The Emerald City. And I remember when I drove up to it, I was like, oh my God, Wizard of Oz. This is huge. Oh my gosh. And, walking in, it was very, it was intimidating, but he was such a friendly person and made me feel comfortable. And then when it came to the work, it was not a problem because I was prepared. I always believe in being prepared for when that moment comes. But then going to his house, it was shocking because it was very farmhouse-ish, woodsy.
Was it?
Yeah, you'd expect it to be, I'd expected it to be kind of like Emerald City in a way with just veils and all this stuff. And it was like that, but there was also a sense of normalcy, which is, I think, why he lived in Minnesota.
And also, you seem to have a pretty level-headed sort of sense about you. Do you think you kind of contributed to a little normalcy too?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I
You don't strike me as the kind of person that blows much smoke.
No. Even though it's weird, though, because I was speaking to a friend of mine lately, and they're like, I order pizzas twice a week. And I'm like, well, I don't order pizzas twice a week. And then they were talking about A&W restaurants. I didn't even know those existed. Did you know about that?
Oh, yeah.
I
the
didn't
drive
know.
up?
I didn't know. I just, because I was with my daughter yesterday, and she was making a root beer float, and they're like, oh, we should go to A&W. And I was like, there's a place? Did you know about that?
Well, I didn't know that they brought them back. That was around when I was a kid.
Okay. Well, they're in Vegas.
Yeah,
I didn't know
sense
that.
there, actually. That's a Vegas
Yeah.
kind of move.
Yeah. But
So-
back to normal. Yeah. I mean, I feel like
Were you allowed to pursue your own talents and interests while married? Because that's a discussion a lot of married couples kind of struggle with.
yeah, I actually got to create a dance company called New Power Generation Dance Company. And I got to choreograph, I got to direct, I got to do stuff that I didn't know that I could do, that I wanted to do. Yeah, he let me be pretty much creative, I mean, in every aspect that I wanted.
Can I ask you a
Yeah.
question that might be a little bit, we don't have to answer it if it's uncomfortable, but when he passed away, I felt like a lot of people were almost marking themselves safe on Facebook. Like they had to somehow attach themselves
Yeah.
to the tragedy that was the death of a human being. And I felt like I saw people now making the talk show rounds that were 3 or 4 times removed from any, it was really almost, I hate to use this term because I live here, but it had kind of a Hollywood feel to it. Everyone somehow wanted to basically, on one hand, tell their story, which I guess is endearing, but on another way, act like they had some sort of sense of importance in this tragedy. And how did you deal with that? Because you probably knew him better than anyone.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really hard because, I mean, I had heard that he wasn't doing well a couple months before, and I was going to go visit, but I remember thinking, do I go at night? Do I go during the day? And this was in January in Minneapolis in January.
Because of the rumor mill that would follow you if you were seen visiting?
No, I mean, I wasn't worried about that. Yeah. I was just trying to figure out for him, like, because his schedule was always crazy. So I was trying to figure out, do I go during the day? Do I go on the weekend? When should I go? Because I was basically going to go and say, are you okay? I heard you're not doing well. And then I knew that he would ask, who told you that? And I was like, okay, do I call that person out? Do I get them in trouble? Or let me call this person. And then I call the person, and then they totally backpedaled. I was like, well, wait, no, I didn't say that. I didn't mean this, and he's fine. And it was just a bit confusing. So when he actually did pass, of course, that weight just completely shattered me. And I remember just thinking I should have gone. Maybe I could have, But then after 2 years of shoulda, coulda, wouldas, I was like, okay, you know what? I have to let this go or it's going to eat me alive.
Well, it's not on you.
I know,
but
when you feel, I don't know. I mean, I'm very maternal, so I feel like sometimes I can help. I mean, it's a feminine thing that, mothers have, that whole, let me take care of you.
Last question about this, because we want to talk more about you, but how would you want people to remember him?
You know what? In my book, I made it, and what I'm getting is that people are seeing that he's a normal guy. Of course, yes, he's not normal. Let's get this straight. Like I've even said it. I think I'm cursed with like dating anybody ever because he's the only man that could wear makeup, high heels, and women's cologne and be a completely masculine, sexy performer. If that makes sense.
Did he borrow your clothes?
He did. I never wore pants back in the day because he would take my pants and then have them hemmed up because he was slightly shorter. And then I'd put them on in their high waters and I always would look at him and he's like, it looks better on me. And I'm like, okay, but this is my outfit. So I always wore skirts.
That's smart, actually.
Yeah, I always wear skirts, dresses. Pretty funny.
But would you say, like, there's some misconceptions about him, and when you want people to remember him a certain way, you want him to be remembered more as the human being he was versus?
No, I mean, I want people to remember him as a musician. I mean, that was his gift. I mean, and that gift is, you kidding? I mean, what he played and all the songs that he wrote and all that. I mean, that's what I want people to remember as. But if they do wonder, I mean, because we always wonder, especially now because everybody's so accessible. The human side, and that he was a cool dude. He was funny. He was really funny. But yeah, I mean, the negative stuff. People are always like, oh, how is it that you lived with someone, or how did you work with someone that was so demanding? I'm like, well, because he was a perfectionist. Why not? Why not be the best at your stuff?
And so how is it for you now? Like, you've gone on to now, you're navigating your own frontier as you did before the situation and while you were with him.
Yeah.
So you can sit back and say, I'm not only saving the world with an animal rescue program, but I'm also a best-selling author.
Yeah.
And there's some other projects, but what is it like for you each day? I mean, do you get your own groceries and stuff, or do you have someone who does that?
No,
do your own shopping?
I'm hands-on,
Do you make your own coffee?
Oh, yeah. Nespresso. Yeah. So good.
You can make it yourself?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just put the pot in and you press the button.
So what's a day like for you? Do you get up and you make your own coffee? And then what do? Do you go to the dance studio? Do you do belly dancing moves? How do you live?
It changes. It changes. And that's why I always have something going on. I have a daughter. So the first thing I do is get her up and get her ready for school. And then when I let her go in school, then I start my day. I'm always networking dogs no matter what I do. Mm-hmm. I also have another foundation that Prince and I started back in '96 called Love for One Another. And that's relaunching, which is going to be amazing. So I think about, I always think of how I can help. And then, I always work out because I'm a stickler for that. People ask me, it's very easy to let go. And I just don't want to have to let go and have to get back on. So I'm always, okay, work out, get that done. I have a business now, so I make sure that that's okay. And then my creative side is oh my gosh, so many things that I'm working on.
were known as Lucifer and the Men with Painted Faces when they burned New Orleans to the ground. And when they sacked Panama, I knew that my road to redemption would be paved with tombstones. By the time they brought the apocalypse to West Africa and the Indian Ocean, I would come to know two words with biblical significance. No quarter. No quarter. Kill All Masters. Rated R. Coming soon. Available on all platforms. Visit noquarterkillallmasters.com.